Kicked out by my mom at 16 for her new twins, I hustled my way to upper management. Now my long-lost brother just reached out. I'm 33 now and work in upper management at the same company I joined after college. I've worked relentlessly to build my life, but there's a part of me that sometimes wonders how things might have turned out if my mom had made different choices. She had me when she was 20. My biological dad was never in the picture. I barely know anything about him. According to her, she gave him a chance to be involved, and he walked away without a second thought. No child support, no arguments, he was just gone. We lived in a small apartment above my grandparents' garage. It was tight, but it worked. My grandparents were the real support system back then. They helped raise me while she finished school and earned her physical therapy degree. I'll give her credit, she juggled a lot, and she didn't sit around feeling sorry for herself. She worked hard as a single mom. Looking back, those early years weren't bad. We didn't have much, but I didn't really notice. I spent most of my time with my grandparents while she studied or worked. My grandpa loved having me around. Honestly, he probably did more for me during those years than anyone else. When she was around, my mom made the effort reading to me, taking me to the park. But things changed when I was about 8. That's when she met Leonard at work. Leonard seemed decent, steady job, normal guy. My mom used to say how different he was from the guys she'd dated before. After a couple years, they got married. When I was around 11, Leonard wasn't mean, but he wasn't warm either. He was polite, but distant, like I was just another object in the house. At first, nothing major changed. I was still living with both of them, and things were fine, just different. Over time, the shift became obvious. My mom started focusing more on Leonard and their life together. Dinners got quieter, and conversations became more about them. I remember trying to chime in and being brushed off like I wasn't even there. I didn't take it personally at first. I thought she was just adjusting to being newly married. But soon, it became clear I was being pushed out. So I tried harder. I worked hard in school, brought home good grades, helped around the house, anything to show I still mattered. When I was about 12, my mom got pregnant with twins. Everyone was thrilled. I was excited too. I pictured being the cool older brother, helping with the babies, teaching them things, being part of this new family. I even started babysitting in the neighborhood to prepare. But as her pregnancy progressed, I felt her growing more distant. Everything revolved around the twins. I kept thinking it was temporary, that once the babies arrived, things would settle back down, but they didn't. Once the twins were born, it was like I disappeared. I understood that newborns take a lot of time, but this was different. It wasn't just exhaustion, it was like she forgot I existed. Family dinners vanished. She stopped organizing them. The small things that kept us connected, sharing stories from the day, watching a show together, inside jokes gone. The worst part, I kept trying. I kept showing up, doing well in school, helping out. But no matter what I did, I just didn't matter anymore. By the time I was 16, everything came to a head. One night, my mom and Leonard sat me down for a serious talk. I already knew it was bad news. They explained that money was tight with the twins, and they couldn't afford to support everyone anymore. Leonard led the conversation, laying out the numbers like I was supposed to sympathize. Then my mom said the words that stayed with me. They deserve more, not we'll figure it out or we're in this together. Just a cold message. I was no longer a priority. I didn't argue. There was nothing to say. I packed what I had, some clothes, personal items, and left. I didn't even look back. I went to my grandparents. They took me in without hesitation. My grandpa was livid. My grandma just hugged me and shook her head. They wanted to confront my mom, but they didn't want to cut ties entirely, mostly for the twins' sake. And I understood. The twins weren't to blame. They didn't ask for any of this. That night changed everything. At 16, I realized I couldn't count on my mom. I wasn't just a teenager, I was on my own. Scary, yes, but I didn't have a choice. From then on, I knew I had to take care of myself. My grandparents gave me shelter, but they were retired and couldn't support me financially. So I got a job at a local coffee shop. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid enough for school supplies, clothes, and essentials. Balancing work and school was tough. I'd come home late, do homework, and wake up early the next day. My grades dipped a bit, but I stayed on track to graduate. What hurt most was that my mom never checked in, not once. She never asked how I was. I only heard about her and Leonard through family gossip. They were doing fine. The twins were thriving. New house, new cars. I couldn't understand it. They couldn't afford 3 kids? I wasn't asking for much, just the basics. Meanwhile, I was working weekends and late nights just to survive. Around senior year, college acceptance letters started arriving. I was excited and terrified. I knew I couldn't afford college alone, but I needed help. So, against my better judgment, I texted my mom. I spent hours drafting it. Finally, I sent, "Hey, I've been accepted to a few colleges. I was wondering if you could help with financial aid paperwork or co-signing a loan." I hit send and regretted it immediately, not because I was wrong to ask, but because I already knew the answer. She replied hours later, "We're saving for the twins' future. We can't help. Sorry." That was it. No congratulations. No, I'm proud of you. Just rejection. It shouldn't have surprised me, but it still stung. It wasn't even about the money, it was the total lack of care. Thankfully, my aunt stepped in. When I told her what happened, she didn't hesitate. "I'll co-sign. You just focus on making it work," she said. She didn't have to do that. She had her own family, but she believed in me. That belief hit harder than the offer itself. I made a promise to myself that day. I'd prove her right. I'd work harder than ever. My mom may have shut me out, but my aunt opened the door and I wasn't going to waste that opportunity. College was brutal. I worked campus jobs, weekends, side gigs. I even taught myself web design and started freelancing. I was exhausted, but determined, and still nothing from my mom. No texts, no calls, just the occasional glimpse of her life through social media. Photos of the twins, birthday parties, vacations. It was like I'd never existed. Eventually, I blocked her. I couldn't keep looking at a life I wasn't part of. When graduation came, I invited my aunt. She sat in the front row, cheering louder than anyone. I didn't invite my mom. If she didn't support me when I needed her, she didn't deserve. To celebrate my success, after college, I moved to a smaller city for my first real job. It didn't pay much, but it was enough to live on and start repaying loans. I lived in a tiny apartment, worked long hours, and slowly climbed the ladder. I gave everything to that job, took every opportunity, stayed late, volunteered for extra projects. Eventually, it paid off. I got promoted, then promoted again. By my late 20s, I was finally in a good place. I had a solid job, a decent apartment, and some savings. My relationship with my mom? Still non-existent. We didn't reach out to each other. I'd hear through family that she asked about me now and then, but it never went further. She had her family. I had my life. The hardest part was realizing she wasn't going to change. A small part of me always hoped she'd apologize. She never did. I stopped expecting anything. By 30, I was in upper management and earning more than I ever imagined. I kept it quiet. I didn't post online or tell many people. I didn't want the drama. The only one who knew was my aunt, the woman who believed in me when no one else did. Unfortunately, at a family gathering, she mentioned my promotion to my mom, thinking it might help bridge the gap. Her heart was in the right place, but that single comment set off a chain of events I wasn't prepared for. A few days later, I heard a knock at my door. It was my mom and Leonard. I hadn't seen them in years. I opened the door but didn't let them in. "What's going on?" I asked. Leonard didn't bother with small talk. He walked past me into my home, my mom following silently. "We heard about your promotion," he said. "So you're finally doing something with yourself. Good for you. About time." No congratulations, just backhanded praise. Then my mom jumped in. "The twins are starting college soon, and money's tight. Since you're doing well, we thought you could help with their expenses." I couldn't believe it. After years of silence, they were standing in my living room asking for money. "Are you serious?" I asked. "Why wouldn't we be?" Leonard said. "You have no family of your own. You've got the money. It's not about whether I can afford it," I said, my voice rising. "It's about the fact that neither of you has done anything for me. And now you want a handout?" My mom rolled her eyes. "Here we go, playing the victim again. We didn't coddle you enough? You turned out fine." "Yeah, because I worked for it," I snapped. "With no help from either of you. Do you know how hard it was to get through college alone?" Leonard scoffed. "Stop acting like you had it so rough. You've got a good job now. Maybe you should thank us. If we hadn't pushed you out, you wouldn't be here." Thank you, I said, my voice shaking. You threw me out when I wasn't convenient anymore. And now you want me to pay for the kids you did care about? Absolutely not. My mom's voice turned cold. You're being selfish, she snapped. I raised you alone, worked hard to keep you alive, to give you everything. And now look at you, your life is together. And we're only asking for a little help. They're your siblings. You owe them that much after everything I did for you. But it wasn't just what she said, it was the tone. Like I should feel guilty for not immediately giving in and sacrificing myself for her and the twins. I don't owe them anything, I replied, calm but firm. And I definitely don't owe either of you. You made your choices. I made mine. You decided I wasn't worth your time or money. Now you expect me to drop everything to help them? That's not happening. Leonard stepped forward, expression hard. You know your problem? He said. You've always believed you were more important than you are. You think you're better than the rest of us just because you managed to succeed on your own. But let me tell you something, you didn't matter to this family then, and you don't matter now. It hit hard, but I didn't let it show. Then why are you here? I asked. If I mean nothing to you, why are you standing in my living room asking for money? My mom snapped. You think we wanted to come here? You think we enjoy asking you for help? The twins deserve a future, and if you weren't so damn selfish, you'd see that. But no, you're too caught up in playing the victim to do anything for anyone but yourself. I let out a bitter laugh. You want to talk about selfish? You kicked me out to make room for your new family. You told me I wasn't worth the trouble. And now you want to lecture me on what the twins deserve. They deserve better parents. That's not my responsibility. Leonard pointed at me, his voice rising. You better watch your mouth. We're still your family, whether you like it or not. And family helps family. No, I said steadily. Family doesn't abandon you. Family doesn't kick their kid out and show up years later asking for money. You're not my family, you're strangers. My mom's face twisted with anger. Fine, be selfish. But don't come crying to us when your life falls apart. You think you're better than us? You're not. You're nothing and you always will be. That was it. If you don't leave right now, I said, pulling out my phone. I'm calling the police. Leonard scoffed. Go ahead. Let's see how that looks, kicking your own parents out. You're not my parents, I said, calm and clear. Not anymore. My mom grabbed his arm, muttering under her breath. As they turned to leave, she looked over her shoulder. You're going to regret this. No, I said, shutting the door behind them. I won't. In that moment, I realized how much I had changed. The kid who once longed for their approval was gone. I didn't owe them anything, and I wasn't going to let them make me feel like I did. After they left, I stood in my living room, phone still in hand, just breathing. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even sad. I was just tired. For years, I'd held on to the hope that they might one day see me as part of the family, someone who mattered. But that hope was gone. That confrontation made things clear. I thought it was over. I thought I had closed the door. But people like them don't take no for an answer. A couple of weeks later, coworkers told me my mom had shown up at my office. I wasn't there, I had taken a sick day. But apparently she caused a scene. She demanded to see me, refused to leave, and went off about family and sacrifices and how I owed her. Security had to escort her out. I was mortified. I apologized to my team, contacted HR, and asked for her to be added to the do not admit list. But I was still shaken. I couldn't believe she'd go that far. Then it got worse. One evening, I got home from work and saw her pacing outside my house. As soon as I stepped out of the car, she stormed over, yelling, "You can't keep ignoring me." I kept my distance and asked, "What are you doing here?" "We need to talk," she said, pointing at me. "You think you can walk away from your family? From your responsibilities?" "What responsibilities?" I asked. "You're their mother, not me. The twins are your kids. It's your job to figure it out." That pushed her over the edge. She started yelling, accusing me of being selfish and ungrateful. "I gave up everything for you," she shouted, "and this is how you repay me." "You didn't give up anything for me," I said, keeping my voice level. "Go back to the house you kicked me out of, and don't come back." She went from loud to out of control. She was screaming so loudly that neighbors began coming outside. "He's a brat," she yelled, pointing at me. "He's always been a selfish brat. He doesn't care about anyone but himself." Some neighbors tried to calm her down, but she wouldn't stop. Her voice got more intense until she lunged at me. "Stay back," I warned, phone in hand. "I'm calling 911. Don't you dare call the cops on your own mother," she yelled, trying to grab my phone. "I mean it," I said, holding it out of her reach. "You threw me away like I was nothing." It didn't feel like I was arguing with my mom anymore. It felt like I was dealing with a stranger. She screamed about how I owed her, how I abandoned her while trying to wrestle my phone from me. Then I heard a neighbor shouting, "I'm calling the police. Leave him alone." More neighbors stepped forward, watching as she tried to come after me again. Finally, someone pulled her back just as sirens filled the street. She kept shouting, even as the police arrived. But that was the end of it. The next morning, I went to the station and filed a report. I explained everything: the workplace incident, the confrontation at home, and what happened in front of my neighbors. The officer was understanding and helped me begin the process of getting a restraining order. When I told my grandparents what had happened, they were furious. "She's completely lost it," my grandpa said. "We thought we were helping by staying close," my grandma added. "But we should have done more for you. We're sorry." I told them it wasn't their fault. They were the reason I had any stability after my mom kicked me out. And they made it clear they were done with her. "We've stood by her through everything," my grandpa said. "But this is the last straw. We're cutting ties." Hearing that was both comforting and painful. On one hand, it felt like validation. But on the other, it hurt to realize how far she'd fallen. The restraining order was approved a few weeks later. Things finally began to settle. I focused on my work, my home, and the people who truly cared: my grandparents, my aunt, and close friends. My aunt, especially, was always there. She never made me feel like I owed her for anything. She just showed up and stayed. A few months later, once life had calmed down, I decided to do something for her. Not to repay her, just to show appreciation. I planned a weekend trip for her and her family, something she'd always wanted but never prioritized. When I handed her the envelope, she looked confused. She opened it and gasped. "What is this?" she asked, voice shaky. "It's for you," I said. "You've always been there for me. You didn't have to, but you did. You deserve something for yourself." Tears welled in her eyes. "You didn't have to do this," she whispered. "I didn't help you expecting anything in return. That's why you deserve it even more," I said. She hugged me tightly. For the first time in years, I felt real love, unconditional support from someone who saw my value without needing anything in return. Every now and then, I hear about my mom and Leonard. Their finances are falling apart. The twins are struggling in college. But I don't feel guilty. I don't feel anything. They made their choices. I made mine. For years, I craved their approval. I hoped they'd one day see me, but I don't need that anymore. I know my worth, and I've built a life filled with people who recognize it too. Family isn't about blood. It's about the people who show up, stay, and love you for who you are, not what they can take from you. As for my mom, I hope she finds whatever it is she's looking for. But I'm done being her solution. I'm done being her sacrifice. This is my life now, and I'm not looking back. Final update: I didn't expect to share another update, but something unexpected happened. After everything with my mom, Leonard, the restraining order, I thought that chapter was closed. Then I got a message from an unknown number. "Hey, it's Max. Can we talk? I'd like to get to know you. You're my brother, and I don't know you at all." I stared at it for a while. Max and I barely knew each other. The twins were little when I left. Part of me assumed it was another attempt from my mom, but something about the message felt different. Eventually, I replied, "What's this about?" A few minutes later, my phone rang. "Hey," Max said. He sounded nervous. "I know this is random, but I've been thinking about you. I feel like I missed out on something important. You're my brother, and I don't know you." I hate that. I didn't say much, so he kept talking. "I know what mom and dad did to you," he said. "I didn't understand it as a kid, but I do now. It wasn't right. Honestly, it was awful. I don't blame you for walking away, but I hate that their decisions kept us apart." "That's on them, not you." His honesty caught me off guard. "Max, none of that was your fault," I said. "You didn't make those choices." "I know," he said, "but it still feels like we lost something. I want to try to fix that, if you're open to it. I know I can't undo anything, but I'd like to know you." I hesitated. "Why now?" I asked. "Why reach out after all this time?" "Because I don't want us to be strangers," he said. "I'm not asking you to forgive mom or dad. I just want to get to know you. That's it." His sincerity was hard to ignore. I've spent a long time trying to move on from all of this, I said. It's not easy for me to reopen that door. I get that, he replied. I'm not asking for much, just a chance to talk. You're my brother. I want to know who you are. I sat there thinking. The twins weren't responsible for what happened. And if Max was willing to reach out honestly, maybe I could meet him halfway. All right, I said. We can start with a conversation. His relief was obvious. Thank you. That's all I'm asking. After we hung up, I spent the evening reflecting. Max's message stirred a mix of emotions, but he didn't try to manipulate or guilt me. He just wanted a chance. Maybe he deserves one. I don't know where this will go. I'm cautious, but for the first time, it feels like there's a chance to build something new. It's a small step, but it feels like progress.